Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectMeWithTiffany. Welcome to the podcast and posse, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter. I'm your host, Tiffany. Thanks for listening, you guys. And today, I invited on a very special person who I saw go on stage. He wasn't a speaker, but he ended up on stage because that's where he's supposed to be, and he brought the house down. He's hysterical. He's a master business coach who has worked with many high-profile business leaders, also with celebrities and sports champions. He helps them achieve their highest personal and professional potential. So Scott Garwood is the founder of MetaLife, and it's METALYF. He got playful there. And you know what, you guys? I'm just going to get right into it because Scott is probably one of the most engaging, fun personalities, and he didn't even need much of an introduction. What's up, Scott?
Well, that was a hell of an introduction. I thank you, Tiffany. And you know why this is so easy to be on your show? Because I absolutely love you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so flattered.
We went to Harmonious Hustle together earlier this month, right? Our good friend. And you and I, we clicked immediately, and then you got on stage, and I said, oh, my God, she is amazing. She's wonderful. She's laying out her story. I'm bawling my eyes out. She's real. She's authentic. She's everything that all of us want to be. I have to know her more, and that's what happened with us in 2 days. And I remember, I will never forget this, at the end of that 2-day experience, you and I were dancing, right? We were having fun. We were dancing. We turned around. We looked at each other. We stared in each other's eyes. And we just completely connected. And I said, I love you. And you said, I love you. And that was magical. So I will never forget that, Tiffany. Thank you.
I have the chills. And for those of you listening, you're like, okay, so you met a stranger. You guys didn't know each other. And then you guys are telling each other you love each other. I don't know how to explain it, but when you put yourself out there and you're being your real, true you, and this whole authentic thing is kind of getting overused to the point where starting to get a rash when I hear it. But I don't know what other word to use other than I'm showing up as my true self. Scott showed up as his true self, and we both have accepted all of our flaws and all, right? I'm like, you guys, if you saw this right now, he has no shirt on. Like, we're going to call this like nipples and coffee with Tiffany. Like, it's so when I interview people and we do it over video chat or Skype, I mean, usually I've met people before, but sometimes I haven't, or I've seen them online. And, it's morning time here in Los Angeles, and up pops Scott. No top on, nipples out. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a good day, right?
It's already a good day.
But
now when are you going to show me your nipples, Tiffany?
That'd be interesting. You have to pay me for that. So the funny thing is that you show up this way, how you are now, all bare in you, but that really is how you show up in life. And I want my audience to understand a little bit of your story of how you got there, because I have a feeling you weren't always in this form of self-acceptance.
wow, I'm 50, and for 49.9 years of that, I was caught up in non-self-acceptance. Still working through that, right? We all are. I just happen to be at it longer than most people. And let's go way back. So 50 years ago, I was born into a fabulous family, and I was born with 4 older sisters. And when you're the only boy with wonderful parents and 4 older sisters, spoiled is your middle name. And I'm still spoiled in many regards, but that just told me that anything you want, you get. And you know what? That made quite, this is not a judgment, it's just an observation. That made quite an asshole. So for most of my life, I would do whatever it took to get what I needed and what I wanted. Still working on pieces of that. So no, my life has not been about showing up and being naked on a podcast just because you trust the other person. So it's been a lot of work to get there. We're still working on it.
So I saw in your bio that you were in corporate life for 17 years. Is that right?
Yeah, at least 17, 20 something, I think. I'm not real good with numbers.
That's my line. I say I'm horrible with math, but I love counting money. So a lot of my listeners are still in the corporate, so to speak, grind. They're side hustling or they're dreaming of wanting to get out. And I mean, I was in corporate life for quite a long time too. Not as long as you. I couldn't hang that long. I would have been dead. And I'm not even exaggerating. I couldn't have done it. So at what point, what was that turning point when you're like, you know what? I've gotta do something else, man. This isn't cutting it.
Wow. I remember it vividly. It's 2000, and I climbed the ladder. And, I was born and programmed like many of us. The American dream is you climb the ladder and have an amazing job and make the money and buy the stuff. That was my whole reality for most of my life, right? And so 2000, I live in San Diego now. I just moved here a month ago because I want to live here because it's paradise and because I can go clothesless all the time because it's nice out. And people like you don't mind.
And he lives in a nudist commune. Okay, go ahead. Wait,
they're
do
all
you?
very nice people, and we share tea. But I absolutely loved living here. And at the time, I was still in this corporate world, climbing this ladder and having to make more. And so I left. I left paradise, and I said, "Why?" That was the first to indicate, why am I leaving paradise? Why am I leaving paradise to move to Dallas and then to move to Chicago? 2 places I never wanted to live. And so I kind of had an inkling then. But then fast forward to 2000, and I had 11 promotions and making a ton of money and a couple hundred people reporting to me, living the life, right? But you know what? Underneath, I was 90 pounds fatter. I was smoking a pack a day. I was drinking more than I do now. My marriage was in the toilet. I was almost 40. We hadn't even talked to kids yet. So all the priorities are just out of whack. And I don't know where this came from. Probably my upbringing, knowing that I could have anything I wanted and that I would be okay. But I said, this is not what life's supposed to be about. I actually am tearing up now thinking about it. My parents, my family gave me that. And they said, you'll be okay no matter what you do. So I quit. And I know that's not that easy for people. Like, I help people with that. I help people move on and find out who they are and do something about it. It's not easy. It's not as easy as quitting. But I just knew that we're only here once. In fact, I say that all the time. We're only here once. And life, LYF, is actually short for LIFE. Life is short. Be authentic. We're only here once. Find out who you are and go live that. So 2000 hit, and the company that I originally left because I didn't want to be there bought us, and I knew my days were numbered. So I quit.
So the universe also helped you quit.
Yeah, that little thing called the universe. It did. It's been helping me my whole life, and I didn't realize that until recently.
Amen to that. I didn't feel supported. I actually thought that, whatever anyone believes in, but I thought God, whoever was the higher power there, actually forgot about me. I thought that my whole life. But then once I really had a full breakdown and was at rock bottom and I started doing work, looking back, I saw how I was being supported. I didn't see it because I was in my own way. Does that resonate with you?
Just happened an hour ago, Tiffany. We were constantly in our own way, and we don't know it because we can't see ourselves. So a very good friend of mine and a client, and I call people who are part of the MetaLife community lifers, because we're on a lifelong journey of personal growth. And Steve's here visiting, and he's just a wonderful guy. And I said, dude, he just showed up last night from Chicago. I said, dude, can you make breakfast? Because I don't have time, because I have to prepare for Tiffany's podcast. I don't prepare for anything.
Preparing means being naked.
I have to take my clothes off for Tiffany to make her morning so she can regurgitate her coffee. But I said, I have to prepare for podcast. I have my own podcast. I interview people all day long, but this is my first, and I'm actually very honored and excited. And he goes, now, wait a minute. You've been teaching me for 3 years to just be yourself. I was like, fuck, you're right. So yeah, we get in our own way. I got caught up in first podcast, got a blah, 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 blah. And when you just drop it and be yourself, you show up naked, and it's amazing.
I hope you're having fun. I am. I'm very entertained. Because you know what, you guys, the shit isn't that serious.
No, we all make it so serious.
Now, did you used to have a giant pole up your ass when you were in corporate America? I feel like you were probably like a dick boss, were you?
It broke off and part of it's still there.
I have to know, take us back. How were you as a boss? You said you had hundreds of people reporting to you.
Yeah, I did. I had 300 people, and I was responsible for the largest accounts, blah, blah, blah. And you know what that did? That made you said it earlier, that made my head swell. And that felt great to be in charge of all that and have all that control. And I don't know if I was a dick or not. I probably was. I didn't think I was. I thought I was actually too nice to people. And I actually wasn't that good at managing people. It just somehow worked out. So once I quit managing people, I realized just how bad I was at it, because it was all about me. It was all about me. And let's leave it at that. You can't lead people. You can't manage people. You can't inspire people when it's all about you.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah. So I probably was being an asshole. I didn't know it because we're caught up in our own stuff and we can't see ourselves.
Right. And that's one of the many reasons why I say we can't do this life alone. We're not meant to. That's why there's 7.5 billion of us. And that's why I feel that it's so important. It doesn't matter that, you're a master success coach. I'm a money coach. It doesn't matter what level we're at of success. I need to have friends, people like you in my life. I need to have my own coach where there is that exchange of money, right? For someone to really look at my business and be honest with me, because otherwise I will end up have my blinders on and I'll miss something. And I recently did miss something because I wasn't reaching out and I wasn't having those conversations with people. So can you relate to that at all?
Yesterday, everything you asked, you're kind of good at this. I'm going to give you that. We're only a couple minutes in. You still have your clothes on, so you have a lot to learn, but you're kind of good at this.
Thank you.
You need to make your guests feel comfortable, and that means, gain rapport, so you should take your clothes off. Okay. But until then, you asked brilliant questions. Just yesterday, I was having sushi with, oh, God, this is a great story. I wish we had more time. But I met this guy on a ski lift at Big Bear earlier this year, and it was just him and I looked at him and I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, hey, how you doing? And by the time we got to the top of the lift, we were great friends, and I was interviewing him for Instagram. And turns out that he's this brilliant software engineer who's redoing our website and who is going to create this online community for us. Really good dude. And he's doing it for $25, by the way.
What?
Just because he's a good person and he wants to make a difference in the world. So it was, again, the universe put us together. But we're having lunch yesterday, and he's in his own way, and he has so much to share and so much wisdom, but he's a quiet guy. And we were talking about this, and I just helped him pull it out. He just started sharing his story and his vision. And he said, I asked him point blank, who do you have to share this with? Who do you talk to about this? And he goes, no one. My friends don't get it. I said, yeah. The further we go on this evolution of our journey, the lonelier it gets. And that's exactly why we created MetaLife, to bring us all together. on our personal journeys to help each other not be lonely. And together we make a huge difference.
It's so true. I hear it all the time, whether it's people DMing me or people coming up to me after I speak somewhere. It's that, oh my God, they feel heard and understood for the first time. And I said, who in your life, what does your support system look like? I asked that because I, for most of my life, didn't have one. I just had bodies around, right? There was no support. In fact, it was like the opposite of that. And most people say, my spouse, my significant other doesn't get it. My friends don't get it. They think I'm nuts that I want to leave, my corporate job. I want to start my own company, that I want to do, whatever it is, retreats. They think I'm absolutely nuts. When you left corporate America, did most people in your life think you were nuts?
Still do. Absolutely. They didn't understand it. I was on an island, but luckily I had, when was this? So I left corporate America. I just loved cars. I knew about passion, right? Go do what you're passionate about. We hear that all the time. So I did it. So I bought a performance shop for cars. I love Mercedes, Audis, Lexuses, and we started hopping them up. And 2 years later, I was bankrupt. And 2 years later, I had learned, that was the first most significant lesson that I've ever learned in my life. I went bankrupt because my relationship with money, which you obviously understand, you help people with that all day long, but I also went bankrupt because it wasn't who I was. And so there I was on an island, but I was smart enough to know that I needed some help. And that's tough. That's tough to raise your hand, especially as a guy with a big head, who has had some success, who's afraid to get naked. Raise your hand and say, I need help. In fact, I've learned over the years that 80% of us aren't ready to raise our hand for help. So now we focus on the other 20%, luckily. But yeah, I was alone. And my wife at the time, a woman, fully supportive, but did not understand it. And she was worried every day. My parents didn't get it, but they loved me. My in-laws didn't get it, but they loved me. You know the story. So you're on your own until you find the right people to be with.
So when you knew, really, we don't normally ask for help until we're in enough pain or until we're humbled enough. When we're comfortable or even slightly uncomfortable, that usually doesn't cut it. So obviously you were humbled. Bankruptcy, that's enough to humble anyone, especially someone who has had amazing, nothing but success, really. And you were told by your parents, basically anything you touch will turn to gold, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This fucking didn't. And the universe,
in hindsight, it was.
Yeah, it's like this didn't turn to gold. And that was the catalyst to you finally really asking for true help the first time in your life. So who did you ask?
I wanted to quit smoking. And I also knew I needed help with selling. You'll understand this as an entrepreneur. I was afraid to death to ask people for money. And I owned my own business.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. How's that going to go? So I knew those two things. So I walked in, back in those days, they had yellow pages. Remember those things?
Yes, I do, actually.
Yeah. So I looked in the yellow page for hypnotherapy. And I walked in February 1st, 2005, walked in the front door of the Personal Success Academy in Chicago, in Naperville, Illinois. And from that day on, my whole life changed. So I found the right mentor at the right time and became a product of and teacher of personal growth. And it's been my life ever since.
But first, you had to be willing and open. And also, wouldn't you say, be at a point where you're like, I deserve to have some form of help?
For me, it was, and I come to understand this, and it's a different language for everybody, but it's the same. When it's more painful to stay where you are than it is to go do something different, that's when we make a shift. Until then, we're way too comfortable staying where we are because it's more painful to go do something.
And it blows my mind when I can feel people's energy, and I know you can too. I can tell when people are ready. They're in so much pain. They need direction. They need the help. Yet when it comes to wanting to invest in it, obviously the hypnotherapy you did was not free, right?
No, it was not.
Right. coaching with you is not free. Coaching with me is not free. Getting help with a lot of things in life, true help, right? You want to have an exchange of money. It helps us be accountable. It makes both sides feel there is a good exchange going on. So why do you think it is that as soon as people hear they have to pay for the said help that they know that they need, do all of a sudden they have all this resistance of, I can't afford it. Oh, I can't, I don't have time for that right now. I can't afford it. I can't do it. Why do you think that is?
I've learned that in addition to not having time, it being too expensive or not having money or whatever that excuse is our easiest way out. Which means we're not committed enough to ourselves. The pain's not great enough with ourselves to actually do what it takes to get out of that pain.
Yeah.
And we all do it all day long in many different versions. Money is just an excuse most of the time.
I agree. And these are the same people that, are saying this and they just like hit up Target, have their, well, not you, because you don't have hair, but have their hair done.
You're staring at my chest. You know what
I'm saying? Well, I mean, you probably do some, do you do manscaping at all or not really? You just let it flow?
Yeah, no.
Okay, good. I just had to know that. My listeners would have asked me. They're like, who is this person? So don't worry, you guys. You'll see what he looks like. We'll be fine.
It should really be a video podcast, I think.
It probably should. It'd be entertaining because people would be like, what is Tiffany wearing today? Her 80th set of pajamas. Thank you. So let's go into you transitioning into starting your meta life business, your coaching business, your true purpose and passion in life. You haven't had it for that long, yet it sounds like you've had quite a bit of success already.
Well, MetaLife started in February of 2018, but I've been coaching since 2007.
So were you coaching like without an official, so to speak, brand behind it?
Well, being the world's best branding specialist, which I am not, my first brand was The Legacy Coach, which was kind of cool, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I did that from 2007 to 2012 on my own, and I had marginal success. But the entire time, it was just painful trying to get clients and trying to stay in business and trying to stay afloat. And I've always known that business is just not my acumen. It's like the E-Myth manager, right? I'm just this person that experiences life and grows himself and shares that with other people. And that has nothing to do with running a business for the most part. So I was on my own, the legacy coach for those years. And then I said, okay, I'm not fulfilled by helping people get more success anymore. So I'm going to change it, right? I'm going to change their entire lives. And as soon as I started telling people that for a year, I got 0 clients. Because that's just too big of a jump for most people. They don't get it. And it's scary. Not only do you not understand it, it's too big of a jump, but it's scary. So there's no way. So I had 5 people, I remember this vividly, I had 5 people of significant wealth say, yes, I need your help. And they sign up to start working together, and then they stop. And that's never happened to me before. So I was freaking out. I was going into depression. I lost a guy who was a dream client with a big name. And back then that was important to me, and I lost him. And I went into a bout of depression, and I was like, I got to fix this. So ironically, one of the first people that needed my help that quit, he was still hanging out, and I still stayed in touch. And I said, Brian, he's my partner in Transformational Growth Partners. Brian, I need your help. You're the serial entrepreneur. You're brilliant at that. I'm the guy who helps us experience the life that we want to live. Let's be partners. And from 2012 on, it's been amazing. Because you got the business part fixed, you got the life part fixed. And so that's where the true coaching really started.
So many people listening can relate. There's a lot of shame around whatever type of coach, you guys are, whether it's mindset, it's business, it's fitness, it's meditation. There's a lot of shame, and a lot of people don't talk about what you just shared, which is I'm having a hard time getting clients. They're just trickling in, or then I get them and then they stop. And this is what I know I want to do for my life. And now am I going to have to go back to corporate America or have to go back and get another job. And now I'm in debt because this business isn't getting to where it wants to go and I don't know what to do. So what do you have to say to them? Because I mean, you're probably stubborn like me, is my guess. And it took you a while to ask for help or realize you needed help. So what would you say to coaches of all kinds who the clients aren't coming? Something's not clicking.
Two things. I'll simplify it down to two things. One, you're not truly being yourself, because when we're truly being ourselves, which isn't easy and it takes a long time, when we're truly being ourselves, people flock to us, right? That's how we met. You were being you, I was being me, immediate connection. If I was trying to sell you something, yeah, I wouldn't be naked and you wouldn't have clothes on right now. But the other part is, when you know who you are and you know what your gifts are, stick to those. Don't give any energy to any other part that's not you. Find the right person to complement that.
And I know I have a really good way of knowing what my listeners are thinking also, because they'll DM me after and go, why didn't you ask them this? I'm like, crap. A lot of people, especially when you're, scrolling on Instagram, you're Googling, you're trying to figure out, how do I get more leads? How do I get more clients? And then you're being sold by these professional marketers saying, you just need to buy my course and I'll tell you how. And you just need to do these 3 things. And I made 6 figures in 30 days. First off, I commend you that you're not one of those people that does that. Otherwise you wouldn't be on the show. And I want
with my wonderful nipples,
even with your nipples, you wouldn't be on the show. So how do you get your consistent leads of your ideal client? Like, what you made a shift, you said showing up as yourself, but there's also mechanics involved as well. People have to know you exist. So how do people find out about you?
Well, I'm just starting to get good at that. And my partner in MetaLife, his name is Mark. He's brilliant in his own right when it comes to coaching and business. And he's the one who actually got us to Harmonious Hustle in the first place. Let's go back to that day, right? Earlier that day, he said, dude, you've done really well for being on an island. I'm like, what the hell do you mean? He goes, nobody knows who you are. You haven't done any marketing. You haven't done any advertising. You don't really even talk. All you do is listen. And you've done pretty well coaching a lot of cool people. Just being on an island. Get the fuck off the island. So I drove up to LA from San Diego that day and said, I'm not going to be on this island anymore. I'm going to simplify everything. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to love being me and I'm going to love being here. And that's what I shared when we all stood up in Harmonious Hustle. That's why I'm here. And that allowed me to go on that stage for the first time and just be me. So I'm not even good at it. We're about to be really good at it with Mark's help. But the key is to all of this, there's processes and there's techniques, but unless you show up as real, none of it works. And I go back to 2007-ish when I needed help selling. And one of those guys showed up in my life and he said, for $2,500, I'll teach you how to sell and it'll be amazing. And here's all my books. And it was worthless. You know why? Because it wasn't me. He was telling me all the things that worked for him.
Right. You have to be able to market and promote in a way that feels good to you. Otherwise, it is so uncomfortable and awkward for the other person that it doesn't work. You're like,
right.
It's like when you call, to get, I don't know, your cell phone service and it's someone in Zimbabwe talking to you and then they're reading off a script. It's like, it's so awkward. It's like, dude, I know you're reading a script. I know you have to, but let's just keep it real. Then they go back to the script. I'm like, what's funny is I used to write those fucking scripts when I was in corporate America. I was one of the people. So I met Mark, which he's great. What a great partnering for you. So he said you lived on an island, yet you still found some good success. And you didn't talk. So how the hell did that happen? Was it just like people would just fall in your lap, or did you Was it just friends of friends? How did that happen?
Through all of this, and I really learned this. So I had the balls, and I had the it was not even confidence, it was cockiness back in the day. I had the balls and the cockiness to go do whatever I wanted to do. So that at the time worked really, really helped. Then I just knew as I honed this and got my coach, my first coach, and as you know, you probably do too. I have 5 coaches right now, 5 mentors for many different things. But when I first found that one mentor who changed my entire life, cockiness turned into confidence. So from the early on beginning, and my sisters and my parents really helped me with this by letting me know that I could do no wrong. When I was confident, I just started talking. I just started walking up to people and going, "What do you need? I can do it." And that's where it started. And I was doing pretty good with that. And I had some clients. And at one point I said, "Okay, I love this. This is who I am. Who do I want to do it with?" I said, "I love racing, car racing, auto racing, and I love music. So I'm going to go coach race car drivers and rock stars." And I found a way into racing. It wasn't easy, but I found a way in. And once I remember, I'm going to say vividly again, I flew to LA from Chicago, and I'm landing in LAX, and I have no idea if this guy's going to show up or not. We talked once on the phone, and I made a promise to him. I said he was struggling with getting back into the car because he didn't have sponsorships. And I said, "I'll make a promise to you. I'll help you get back in the car if you introduce me to everybody you know." I just had confidence because I knew what I could do because I've been through it myself. So I land in LAX and I'm crying. I'm looking out and there's mountains and I'm crying and I'm going, I have no idea if he's going to show up, but I trust me. And he was there.
That's a damn miracle in the city of Los Angeles, you guys.
He was there. He was at the track where he said he was going to be. There was no confirmation that he would be there. And we went through a quick exercise and I helped him feel fabulous about himself. And he walked right up to the right person who could make a difference in his life. And he goes, "You know what? You're going to hire me. And here's why. And here's what I'm going to do for you. And here's what we're going to do together." Completely confident in himself. First time in a year, maybe. And he got the job. So he hand walked me to everybody in racing. And that really, really helped a lot. But within racing is a very small community, but within that community are many, many very wealthy people that own businesses too. So it branched out into businesses and working with founders of businesses and their families and their leadership teams because it's all tied together. So that's how that grew, just by word of mouth of trusted clients because they trusted me.
But it started with you. Aside from the mindset you had to get in, going from, cockiness to confidence and doing that inner work and getting help. But you also were resourceful and you wanted to work with people in racing and you found a way in. I'm imagining this didn't happen in an hour. No, it took 3 attempts via an email that I found off the internet and I didn't know if it was real or not. And he wasn't replying. And on the 3rd reply, he did. See, you guys? And what a lot of people's mindset would say is there's no way someone, whatever specialty you're looking at, there is no way someone in racing or someone, in music or whatever would reply to some email I found wherever on LinkedIn, or some editor would reply on some email and then maybe they would have the balls to do it once, but when they didn't get a reply, they would stop. What made you do it 3 times? Trust in myself. These guys are my idols. I looked up to them. But that would make it even harder. That'd make it even more intimidating. I know. I just trusted me. What about you did you trust? Damn, you're good. Thank you. If you were only naked. I'd probably have more iTunes reviews if I was. I need to think about this. There you go. Now I'm your marketing specialist. What about myself did I trust? Maybe I can't explain it well, but here it is. Everything I've ever learned since 2005 when I walked in that front door, I've experienced. So when you experience it and you go through it and you look back and you say, holy shit, I did that. That makes you feel really good about you. When you
So I don't
go
know.
through the shit and you come out the other side,
You trust yourself and you trust it. So then I just go do it for other people. That makes it really easy.
now, I'm sure we have a similar take on this. Like my business coach is a 72-year-old man worth $100 million. The universe plus myself chose that for a reason. I wanted someone much my senior. My father died before I was 25, and there's a fatherly nurturing element there. I wanted someone who is making what the revenue I would like to make, but it's the life experience. He's had several companies that have gone bankrupt. He's been sued more times than he can count. Multiple divorces, right? I want someone who is seasoned, but you go online and I know you've seen it. There are hundreds, thousands of people, young people, 20 years old, 22 years old, 25 years old with very little, so to speak, time on this earth who are doing all forms of coaching. Do you feel that there's something off about that or not necessarily?
I think there's two sides to it. So another person who was my partner at the time who helped me start MetaLife was 27 at the time, and her brilliance and wisdom and old soul that she brought to what we're doing in our relationship, that took us to a whole nother level. So there I was at 48, 49 at the time, not thinking nearly like she did, and she brought so much to it. So that's invaluable. On the other hand, do 26, 27, 28-year-olds have time on this earth to apply that to other things? Probably not. I mean, all my experiences come from growing through the shit over the last 15, 17, 18 years. So I think they go together.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I like having a mix of people who work for me, different ages, backgrounds, upbringings, because that's when we come up with the most amazing ideas.
Yeah. She said, we need to have a podcast. And I said, what is that? And 2 weeks later, I'm interviewing people. So, yeah.
Where can people listen to your show, by the way? Is it officially launched yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got 20-something out there. There's 12 in the can. And it's called HP Life, HPLYF. And it's about helping hugely successful, somewhat well-known people be very authentic on audio. And if they can show us their real selves, their underbellies, and who they are and what they've been through, we all can do that.
What I think is so important and part of what has driven me is that when people get to hear from someone who, like myself, who's a self-made multimillionaire, and they get to hear me tell the shit, I share the shining moments too, but I keep it really real. That's what I saw was missing out there. And I also think that's missing from, like you said, these people who are classified as high profile, right, that you work with. We come up with lots of stories of how they got there. Most of us make them up, right? Oh, they must have had an amazing childhood. Oh, they must just have so much. They can do it because they have so much money. They have a trust fund, blah, blah, blah. Give us a little insight, since you've worked with, quite a few people like this. What are some of the common threads?
Here's the worst, and if you make me tear up, Tiffany, I'm going to kiss you because it's real and it's meaningful to me. Most people, I'm going to say most people at that level cannot trust anyone. Can you imagine going through life with no one to trust? You can't be yourself. You can't show your real sides. You don't know if anyone, including your own family, is there for the money or for you.
There's the catch, you guys. There's always a fucking catch.
That's actually, yeah, there I go. I love you because I'm tearing up. I
love you too. And he is. It's not like one of those people who's feigning it. He really, you know why I see you tearing up, because you know exactly what that feels like. Yep. I went most of my life with really not feeling safe in the world, that I couldn't show myself, because when I did show myself, bad things did happen. That was proven to me. And that was proven to a lot of people who have a lot of money, are celebrities, have fame, whatever the hell it is, right? I'm sure the people you work with, there's been times where they've tested the waters, or they've let someone in, maybe not fully, but they let them like 70% in. And I'll be damned, that person screwed them over too and sold them to the press, right?
I've one of my great friends and clients let a pastor in, and the pastor screwed him over.
How traumatizing.
Yeah. Especially as a wonderful Christian as he is. So you're right. So that's it. At the top, or close to the top, it's really lonely. And it's very hard to be yourself, because you're just waiting for people to take you down.
What do you think is the difference, some of the differences between people who have had great success, financially, notoriety, whatever, and people who just are clawing at it and can't seem to get there? They want it, but they just can't seem to get there.
Most of the time, fear. Fear is, we look at fear and we're full of fear. We have layers of fear surrounding us all day long. And, when I look back at the last 17 years of focusing on working on myself, most of it's been on just releasing this fear, all these different fears. But fear can also be a good thing. So you look at these hugely successful people, and in general, they're afraid of something, and that's what propels them. And that fear is more painful than whatever it takes to become successful. So it's like jet fuel for them, rocket fuel for them. I know a very good friend and client. He grew up in a little silver trailer with, I think, 3 brothers and a sister and 2 parents, a little tiny one. And it wasn't a great childhood, and parents weren't exactly great to him either. Like, don't want to share those details, but you would look at him and go, oh my God. So of course that shaped who he is. And it was only important to him for his entire life to make sure that never happened to his kids. So he's hugely successful. He's got the biggest house in Orange County on a mountain. And you know what? In his office, what he can stare out his window at? That little silver trailer he grew up in. They found it 40, 50 years later and bought it and put it on a hill outside of his window so he can stare at it and continue to go, I'm so afraid of that happening to me or my kids, I'll never let it happen. So that fear has propelled him to start him, but it's also got him by the neck.
I 1,000% relate to that. And we all have fear. A lot of people make assumptions when they meet someone like you, who's very charismatic, has a lot of success, comfortable with yourself. They think this guy's conquered all of his fears, or maybe they come up a little bit, but he has this magical strategy that like knocks it right out. And in order for me to have success or create my dream business or go after what I want in life, I have to get rid of all these fears. That's not really true, is it? You have to learn how to work with them, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love the way you say that. Work with them and help those fears work for you instead of against you. What are
some of your top 1 or 2 fears that you're always dancing with?
Currently, the last 3 years of my life, especially the last 2 years of my life, I have become a master and expert at relationships, especially with myself, because I was so afraid of not being enough, being alone, not mattering to one person that I was completely attached to. And in hindsight, as I finally got through all this, a couple of years of lots of depression and huge roller coasters, and I even picked up essential tremors, so my body's shaking a little bit, and that's all from emotional stress placed on the body. So I've been through it all, and long story short, I actually asked for it like 4 years ago. I said, universe, I really haven't been through any real shit yet, but I understand that's where the real growth comes
from. Oh, Jesus.
Boom.
Not recommended.
Thank you. So I've been working through that for a couple of years, and I'm finally at the tail end. And you saw it on stage of just being me, but it's been, the fears have been, I'm not enough. I don't matter. I'm not loved. I know I am. I'm surrounded by people that love me, but I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And at the end of the day, at the core of all of us as human beings, I think that's the one. Some version of I'm not enough.
Worthiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that. Well, I love you.
Thank you.
And
I believe that.
I hope so, because it's true. And you know what? Maybe an older version, a former version of yourself might have not have believed me because you didn't love you. You would have been like, this bitch is full of shit, or she's just saying that to sound cute or whatever.
Yep.
But because of the work you've done, you can take that in.
You're exactly right.
If you had told me, I love you, or given me a compliment or whatever, even 5 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, he's just, he's just trying to butter me up, whatever. He wants something from me. But I can tell the difference. Now, are there people who give me compliments and say things to me that want something from me? But I can feel that difference now, most of the time. I still get it wrong sometimes, right? I mean, don't you still get things wrong?
Yeah, of course. We'll get things wrong the rest of our lives. When you look at them all as opportunities, they're really not wrong, are they?
No, when you look back, going through them, though, it really feels damn wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
So I want to ask, you made a choice to bring on partners in your business, in your dream business. That is not a light decision for most business owners. In fact, that's one of the biggest decisions I have ever made anytime I brought on a partner or a collaboration. That's your baby. So what made you be open to trust? I mean, that's serious trust. Be open to trust to bring in aligned partners for your business.
Wow, Tiffany. You're super good now. I had many terrible partners. I got screwed financially and emotionally and all those things with a couple of them. I don't know why I kept going with wanting a partner. So maybe the driver was I knew that I needed somebody because I'm not the business person. So that was a driver of it. But when I did find the right person in Brian with TGP, we decided from the get-go that we were going to, and it was actually right around when Brene Brown came out with her book. We decided, okay, we're going to teach vulnerability, and to be able to teach vulnerability, we got to be. So we started practicing that as business partners. And obviously that developed into amazing spiritual and partners in so many different ways. But from that point on, I started to realize how when I open up and give myself to somebody else and that person gives it back, I'm twice the person. And our business just took off because we became better people together. Business is just a reflection of who you are. As you become a better person, the business takes off on its own.
It's still scary to bring someone on for a lot of people, even if they've done a lot of work, because financially, right, you're sharing profits, or you're paying, however the person's paid, whether it's through profit sharing or a salary or whatever. So you've had to do some abundance mindset, money mindset work around that, because what a lot of people say is, if I bring on a partner or I hire help, that means it's less for me, less money for me. So how did you work through that?
Well, I guess I got lucky. And again, remember, most of my life it was all about me and everything was mine and I didn't share shit. I'm still working on sharing when it comes to eating, and you're there with a partner and he or she wants to take a bite of your whatever you're eating. I'm like, okay. But I know that and I'm working on it. But for most of my life, I didn't share anything. Everything had to be mine. And so I entered this partnership with Brian, and you're right, we started to share money, and that scared the crap out of me. But he was calling me out on it. Remember, we're working on this vulnerability thing and trusting each other and bringing all elephants out of the room when they show up. And he was calling me out on it. And luckily, I was at the place where, one, I was aware enough to know that I own everything of mine, my own shit. Everybody else and everything else is just a trigger. I can't blame Brian for anything of this. I can't blame money. It's my insecurities that I need to let go of. So I knew enough of that so that it really helped. And the other piece was, I got lucky because of timing. You know what? I was broke again.
So you had nothing to lose.
I had nothing to lose. And in our first month or two, I said, dude, can I have a loan? And he said, sure, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to cry.
You're going to make me cry again.
No, I'm going to cry now because there's been times in my life where I couldn't humble myself to ask for that. And I did things that I'm not proud of in order to get the money I needed because I couldn't humble myself. So I honor that you did that. That's fucking legit work, man. For a man to ask another man and humble yourself.
Coming into my company.
Holy shit. I gotta tell you, I don't know if I'd ever be evolved enough to do that. That's incredible.
So that told me right there, wow, of course I can trust somebody else. Of course there's 1 + 1 = 5. Of course this is going to work. All that stuff. And you know what's happened since? I've given him loans when he needed it. Yeah.
Wow.
So I got lucky with the timing and the circumstances. There's no luck. The universe handed that to me. And I took trust to a whole nother level. We both did.
I love that you brought up about the fact that you were broke. And a lot of people, what is their number one thing? I can't start a business. I'm broke. I can't hire that coach. I can't go to that, amazing conference. I can't start a podcast. I can't do whatever. I can't write the book because I'm broke. And it's like, look what Scott did and he was broke. There's a blessing sometimes in being broke. There's a blessing sometimes in being in debt. You got nothing to lose. And I can say that because you want to know what is the number one thing that holds me back is that, and God, I'm not asking for you to make me broke. It's that I love having a luxurious, comfortable lifestyle. A lot of money in the bank to me makes me feel safe. I had such an unsafe childhood. It makes me feel safe. But because it makes me feel so safe, I get very nervous taking big risks with money. See, you guys, it goes both ways. So you don't have to, it's just because you have a bunch of money in the bank, that doesn't mean there's no restraints in wanting to go for the big thing. They're just different.
Right. So now you're afraid of losing instead of what fear you had before of gaining.
Correct.
And going back to the high profile people that we coach, the number 2 consistent theme in their lives is they're afraid of losing what they built.
Absolutely. Yep.
Which holds you back from being who you can really be.
Yep. It can hold you back from really just saying fuck it and going for it. Yeah. So it's both sides, you guys. We tell ourselves a lot of lies when we look at people who have a lot of money or we think they have money or success. We tell ourselves there's a lot of lies. That's why I love this show. I love having people on like Scott who now your brain, when it starts telling that lie, now you'll have evidence. You'll have truth. And that's what helps our mindset shift is truth, our facts. Not some mumbo jumbo. I'm going to now shift the words that I use and, all that stuff can help too, but really it's having evidence. Now you've heard it, right?
Yeah. Truth comes from going through it, from your experience, from experiencing.
So how can people get more of you? Because this is what they're going to want. They're going to want the nipples. Let's keep it real.
Well, my nipples are only for you, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you.
But they can see pictures, I guess.
They're going to want that. They're going to want to hear, they heard where they could find your podcast. We'll put that in the show notes. But they're going to really want to be able to reach out and message you. What's the best way to reach you? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram?
Again, that's why I'm not the expert on this. You called me out on it before the show. You said, what's your presence on Instagram? And I said, well, I don't really have one, but that's all changing right now. This month, we have the right person in place to do that. So for now, you know what? Go to our website, metallife.com, and from there, you're going to see everything about us. One thing that's really cool, we already have groups going. And if you feel alone on your journey, which is a personal journey, but that doesn't mean we have to be alone, look into one of those groups, and you can be in groups of people with like minds that are also growth minded, and we support each other, and we get support, and together we change the world. So take a look at that. Instagram, it's Meta Life Community, and help us out in growing this thing because we're on the front end of it. And
clearly, that's not his strong suit, so we need to help him. And it's Meta Life. It's METALYF, so it's life spelled in a very cool way. And I'll make sure to tag him. You guys, if you loved this episode and you loved hearing our rawness, our realness, we both cried. One of us is naked. If you guys loved hearing the truth and pulling back the curtain behind what you see in fame and success and money, take a screenshot right now. Share this damn episode. Tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. I will make sure that I share it with Scott and his community. But do that. It takes a couple seconds. This way we know that our message was heard, that you guys got something out of it, and share it so more people can hear this truth. More people can get out of feeling that shame because of the stories we tell ourselves. Plus, we want to support Scott. You guys have to. Yeah, we got to support Scott here. He's building his online presence. And by the way, just PS, want to say this to you guys. He has no fucking online presence, basically, and he's at this level of success. So if I hear one more of you saying, but I don't have thousands and thousands of followers like you, Tiffany, it doesn't fucking matter. It's helpful. He will blow up once he has that. But that doesn't mean you can't start and make great impact. I loved having you on.
I thought I was doing pretty good. I just got Instagram last month. I thought that was doing pretty good.
Just wait to see what happens. It's going to be amazing. I loved having you on. Thank you.
I love you. I love being here. You have changed my whole day today and my week, my whole life. Thank you. I love you.
Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.